and a slam jam.
So, back with another replay analysis. This is a Monkey King at 3.5k MMR. And he said, out of form, but I feel like I could have done so much better this game. Basically, how to crush more when I have a free lane. When to kill in lane, and the such. Okay. So I'll give my initial impressions of Monkey King as a hero. I've had pretty good success with him this patch. He feels really strong, especially against like Legion Commander or Axe or pretty much just like right-clicking offlaners that can't trade with you, or just light stun lineups. I also like lineups that can't really scout him in the trees. This looks like a pretty decent Monkey King game. I wouldn't say this is perfect, but overall, I wouldn't mind playing Monkey King in this game. The way I look at these heroes, at least in my view, is that Orb of Venom level 1 is usually incorrect. If I'm going to go Orb of Venom, I don't go Quelling Blade. I think those two items literally say two different things. You only have so many times you can attack, right? Like, you only have a limited attack speed. So are you hitting creeps or are you hitting heroes? So what I mean by that is, like, if you're going to buy Orb of Venom, you're going to need, like, 4 branches. Like, that's usually what I'll do. Or, like, Tango Salve, Orb of Venom, 2 branches. If I'm going Quelling Blade, I'll just go, like, 2 sets of Tangos with a, like, Slipper of Agility and 2 branches. Well, the first build says I'm going to trade with them a lot, and I'm going to use an Orb of Venom to do it. The second build says I'm going to primarily focus on CSing, and if the guy walks up, I'll hit him, right? Like, that's what your builds say. This build says I'm going to do a little bit of everything, which means you don't do anything optimally. That's how I usually look at items. That's how I look at skill builds, and this right here is kind of weird to me. Okay, moving on.
30 seconds.
Like I always say, items tell me your plan. Your starting items always tell me how you think the lane's going to go and what you plan to do in it. This tells me literally nothing. It tells me, like, it's not that it tells me literally nothing. It tells me everything, which means nothing, right? You're doing a little bit of everything. So, like, I would just rather you have 4 all stats right now with 4 branches than this Quelling Blade, right? If you think you can win the lane by hitting them a lot, why do you need a Quelling Blade? Because you can just zone them off of the creep wave. Sure, fly yourself a Quelling Blade later. I'm not saying to never buy one. But if you're going to plan to win the lane by hitting them a lot, fly that item later. Don't buy items until you need them, right? That's how all stages of the game go, but it works at the most basic level in the laning stage. You are against a Riki Shadow Shaman. I would have prioritized Quelling Blade myself, because both those heroes are higher damage than you. So I would have gone maybe a later Orb of Venom if you still want it. But I would have just gone like double Wraithband and looked to like double Wraithband boots. That's what I would have gone here. Because all that says is I'm going to CS as well as I can, giving myself that extra attack speed, extra damage. I'm going to be a bit tankier with that extra armor. And once I get 2 Wraithbands, I can look to be aggressive. I'll be like level 4 or 5 around the time I get double Wraithband boots. And that's like a nice power spike for me in this lane. I could see that. That works for me. That's a game plan. That's something I would theoretically construct at the start of this game. There's always adjustments you can make in the lane, but knowing what your base strat is at the start is really important. Okay, so obviously trade a bit of supports there. I see that a lot in my Smurf games. Especially supports kind of just overcommit onto each other. So you punished it, great. So yeah, I mentioned this, a lot of videos. A stop A. I'll probably make an individual video about it. A stop A, A stop A, A stop A. It eliminates turn rate when you're CSing. Watch your CSing here. You miss these CS simply because, not this one, but the next ones, because of turn rate. Right? You don't miss it, but it makes it much harder. Right here, you do miss it. A stop A. You don't use it, you should. Simply put. Practice it. It's not actually that hard. Once you do it, you'll never not do it again. I should probably just make an actual video about that, because it's really fast. Maybe I already have a video about it. So you went boots. That at least synergizes with your plan. So I like that you have a plan now. Monkey King with no stat items, in my bracket at least, would get heavily punished. I guess in your bracket they aren't really punishing you. Okay. So when you have your passive, you're like super strong. And in general, you don't want to use that passive to CS. I'm not telling you to miss CS. Obviously, that one hit right there was really bad. But why are you defensively dragging creeps right here? You can't pull it to your range creep. That's not going to work. You have 6 creeps hitting these, and they only have 2 creeps, right? By the time you drag to your range isn't going to get to half. So you can't say, like, I'm dragging my range to pull the lane back. You're fucking strong AF. Walk at these fucks, right? Like, who cares? Like, what are they going to do to you? You have 6 creeps, and you have Jingu active. These 2 hits, if possible, these 3 hits technically, because you already wasted one, should go on the opponent, right? So that's, like, a really important thing to realize right here. Don't defensively drag creeps when you're like 10 times stronger than the opponent. You're a high level higher, you have Jingu, you have 6 creeps. There's like 4 reasons why you're stronger. I think if any of those applied, you could potentially look to capitalize.
I take what I please.
The silent killer.
Okay, Dazzle did a good job of pulling the lane back. I'd probably cut down this tree so I could see the pull camp happening from like right here. Like if they were trying to pull. Now that the camp's stacked, I'm like much more concerned of whether or not that camp gets pulled. So you go back for the Wraith Bands. Phase boots first. Interesting. Definitely a different playstyle than me on Monkey King, but I can see what you're going for, and that's important. Like, as long as you have a clear goal to me, I'm fine with that. So starting items, not so much. Lane items, okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
What's the opposite of regicide?
Yeah, I like the point W. I was going to hope you did it, just because now you've won the lane. You just need to be able to chase people down. Even go for a stick. I probably wouldn't go stick here. They don't really have any spammable spells. It doesn't change anything about your lane. You don't have mana problems. It's kind of just a waste of 200 gold to me here. If it makes sense to you, like, you don't have mana problems. It's 200 gold that could just be sent on like a Sage's Mask towards your Echo Saber, or even just like another Wraith Band component. Like, yeah, you have 4 stick charges. It's like, now what? You know? It's like, what are you using them for? I wouldn't say it's a terrible item to buy here. Stick is never terrible, but it could just be better spent, I guess.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Okay. Now you're buying a Clarity. Why are you so worried about your mana? I would have killed this medium-sized creep first and then pulled the big one. Obviously, you fucked that up a bit. It is annoying of a pull. The reason why I would have killed that small creep first is because you're full health, you have regen, you have decent armor now, so you don't really take that much damage from the creeps. You have 5.4 HP regen as well. If you have full health, you should be willing to expend it in order to do something that you wouldn't otherwise be willing to do. And also, Ricky's going to be in range if you pull this camp, so by the time you kill that medium creep, you're splitting XP with him at the very least. So maybe he'll even yoink it from you. So the point is, like, I would have definitely taken the time to kill that medium creep before I pulled.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
The main thing about that is it's a small efficiency, but I definitely would look into like why I say to do that, and that can apply in a lot of little things and a lot of little areas. Like, the only reason you wouldn't do that is because you're missing health, or like you don't feel safe. So that's pretty crazy to me what you just did there. I personally see what's going on the rest of the map here. So like, I make this play, right? You go on him. Look at top lane at this point. Like, you see a ton of shit going on top. You know they have a mid-Dusa, so he's not going to rotate. So, like, look at the lane. You have a catapult pushing into the tower. So, like, you taking a lot of damage and then not using your time to push this tower to me matters a lot more than this kill, actually. I know you could go for the kill, but You look at this spell and say, I don't have it for 5 seconds. By the time I have it, he's going to be like up here. And then at that point, I wish I was here. So I think this is just something to think about why you're going for kills. Don't just go for kills. I want this Riki out of the lane because Riki needs a lane to farm. Like, Riki can't jungle and recover. So I'm actually fine to go on him here, have it not work, and just boot him out of lane. Like, get him out of here. So at this point, you've done what you've already came for. You don't need to kill him. I understand the kill is nice. I'm not telling you to not go for kills. But the reason for the kill is what matters. That's what matters. So is it really that great to get that extra 250 gold as opposed to all the damage you could have done on this tower, right? So if you get that 250 gold, then do the tower damage, awesome. But this Riki's out of commission for like the next 15 seconds anyway, and that's all the time you need to do a lot of damage with this catapult. So it's just something to think about why you're getting kills, not just going for them. So like this extra chase is just a lot of time spent in health. So you do end up getting good pressure on the tower. I don't mind you pushing your limits, it's just something to think about. That was a crazy jump in, holy shit. Okay. I guess it worked out, you had Sniper rotating and you guys got a 2-for-1.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Notice how your stick's in your backpack for it.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
So, in honor of my Monkey King that was on my team last game, this is about the point in the game where you rotate top. If you're going to walk out of base and you want to show up to fights, great. You should walk top. If you want to TP to this fight after you've farmed top, great. Give yourself the right decision. I'm not telling you it's not correct to go to this fight. I'm telling you that you walked into the jungle and were farming jungle, so your only choice was to go to the fight or hit neutrals, which means you are 100% going to this fight, right? Because can you really justify to yourself that you should hit some medium camp instead of going to this fight? However, if you're pushing this lane and you're farming the lane and pressuring it, and then a fight breaks out, that's a much easier decision. It's like, I want to fight or not. And if I were you, I would say, well, why are we invading their triangle when they have a Dusa? That's exactly where the Dusa wants to fight. That's the type of fights that hero takes. They're all here, because look at the map. They're all in this area. And I am almost to a big item. So I would have 100% walked top, because that's what we always talk about, being the ideal area to play, with the potential to TP elsewhere. And because your item is not quite online, I would have definitely waited to be at this fight. Could this fight work out? Absolutely. Is this high risk, overall low reward? I believe so. And my point is, if you want to show up to this fight, cool. Start top and then come. Like, I'm not even telling you to not show up to that fight. It obviously worked. I want the map positioning prior to the fight to be accordingly.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So right now, I would TP top immediately. You being here just doesn't... Like, if you want to pick up the bounties, sure, go ahead. That's one more objective to get on this side of the map. Why do people in this bracket, pretty much below 7k, just refuse to go top? Your team doesn't need you for this. This isn't like, I guess the enemy team's just giving up. They're like not defending. I feel like you guys are controlling the entire map and you're farming one lane. Like, that's what's happening here. If you see what I'm saying, it's just super awkward. Like, if you want to come back to these fights after pushing this out and rotating, great. Like, you've farmed two or three waves, you've taken the jungle in the meantime, and then you come back to this push. There's no reason to, like, force this tier 2. It doesn't really do anything. I don't think the enemy team should have given you that. Like, they kind of just handed it to you. You don't really have any tower pushing heroes. And overall, what I'm seeing is, yeah, you're winning, but it's just, like, so much inefficiency on the map based on this lane here. Like, it really is a big deal to me, personally. Okay. So we're still playing bottom with our team. If we want to play around our team bottom and try to shut them off, okay. At this point, now that you have Diffusal, if you want to play hyper-aggressive on the map, great.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
So let's see.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Okay.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I like that. I was wondering what you were going to do for your stun there. Okay. You want to keep playing around your team at this point? I'm honestly fine with this. It was earlier that I had the problem.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
You're kind of like giving yourself a chance to die before you get your item, and then the game just looks like unrecognizably different.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower.
I do like how active you're being once you get that item. Like, your game plan with your items lined up pretty well. I would say if you played like this most games, you would definitely climb MMR out of 3K. So interestingly enough, you've now chosen to continue playing bottom and
Dire's
chill.
bottom tower is under
When
attack.
I think you're still pretty damn strong. In these type of games, I like to play around my team while I'm farming. If I'm gonna farm, I'm gonna play with my team. The bottom farm, the emphasis is it just doesn't really accomplish anything, and you do have a support sniper that would be more than happy to TP bottom and like defend the tower. And I'm not telling you need to constantly participate in fights, but I think being on the part of the map that your team's trying to get something done is really important. Like bottom, once you had Diffusal, if your team's playing around bottom, by all means, farm around bottom. When you didn't have Diffusal, I wanted you to farm away from your team. But now you're away from your team again.
No one does this to me.
So, yeah, that's really all there is to it, right? When you want to fight because you're strong, you farm near your team. When you want to farm because you're near a timing, farm away from your team, right?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's not always that simple, but when you're ahead and there's no like major kill threat on you, then your main concern is being impactful in the game, not like avoiding death, right? When you're behind, it's like the opposite, where instead of like trying to have impact, you're just trying not to feed. Okay.
Radiant's bottom tower structure under attack fortified.
So before your BKB, I would put you in the realm of you contribute a lot to fights, but if you get caught by yourself, you're very weak, right? So that's why it's even more important to not play alone. There are some games where even though you can contribute to fights, if I'm a Slark against like no instant stuns, I'll play alone all I want, because if I run into 3 heroes right there, I'll like force a reaction, like Dark Pact, and pounce away, and it's not a problem. But every hero is a bit different when they interact this way, right? Most heroes can't play like that. Monkey King being one of them, right? Monkey King, if he gets jumped without having tree jump active, or like a defensive item to get out, he's just gonna die. And so there's a lot of like iterations of why you play with your team, why you play away from your team, and I'm kind of like theory crafting out loud and spitballing to you what goes through my mind as these heroes. So yeah, as Monkey King, I specifically like to farm near my team when I feel strong to contribute, but not strong to survive. If I don't feel strong enough to contribute, I play alone. That's kind of how it is. Usually you want one hero playing alone. So it's like super early game, like 10 minutes in. The reason why I wanted you to go top was like you get your item as soon as possible. Once you get your item, potentially somebody else on your team can start taking the farm away from the team. In this case, I'd probably say it's Sniper, because that hero clears waves really well. It's a support that functions really well with farm, and you guys could probably fight without him at that point in the game. And it's kind of like his role at that point to take farm and then show up to fights accordingly. But for you, learning to play away from your team, with your team, etc., could be a really good skill to have, and just something to think about every game, whether or not you want to farm near your team. Okay, so we're pushing high ground into Dusa. We're really far ahead, so it works. Cool. I like your itemization. Trying to go ultra late here seems bad. You went Diffusal against Medusa. You guys are going a bit crazy here. Okay. And I think we can wrap up this replay here overall. So overall, I think you played pretty well. Just a few little things. I think I genuinely say if you played like this every game, you'd gain MMR. But the things you are missing could really cost you in certain games that are either closer or games where it's not quite as good of a Monkey King game kind of thing. So definitely think about them. These concepts do apply to other heroes, but I came from the perspective of Monkey King when it came to the answers for that one. So hope you enjoyed the replay analysis there.